Up until very recently, this is the way that you would expect to learn the Arabic language. Was someone coming in the traditional dress, the traditional way, and speaking only the Arabic language to you and showing you everything as you see it here. But let me ask you a fair question. How many people today in the English language would be able to comprehend all of this or even have the time to study? So that's why we're going to offer this special presentation of Arabic in English. That's right, we're going to use the English language to understand Lugha Arabiya, the Arabic language. So stay right where you are, sit back, relax. We're going to make a couple of changes here and be right back. Well, we're back, and as you can see, we've made a few changes. We want to begin to show you the Arabic language in a way that'll be easy and fun at the same time. Begin by using the knowledge you already have. A lot of people are intimidated, afraid to try to learn simply because they say, well, I don't know about it, so I don't want to try. But you know something? In reality, you'll be surprised at how many things that we already know. And there's something else too. You know, when you really want to bad enough, you'll find you're able to do a lot of things that you never dreamed of. I know when I was a young boy, if anybody had told me that I would use a computer, I would have told them they were crazy. That's only for geniuses to do something like that, and yet we use a computer every day today. There are many other things just like that. If you really want to bad enough, you'll find you're going to do it. The thing is to make yourself want to. And you can want to when you can see a benefit, when you can see a goal that you can achieve. And you said, you know what? I know the benefits. I have a goal. I want to shoot for it. I want to go for it. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to begin by making the Arabic easy, fun, and worthwhile. Let's start with this. A word you already know is wow. We say that a lot. Wow! Wow! But did you know that's the name of one of the letters in the Arabic language? That's right. In a few minutes we'll be talking about what they look like and how to write it. But just to begin with, wow! How about that? There are some other things that you may be familiar with as well. One of the letters in the Arabic language is called lam. Now it's not a sheep, it's lam. And when you see it, you'll say, it looks strangely like the letter L, except it's backwards. We're going to be doing that in a little while. We're going to talk about the family of letters. We've got one family of letters called the potbelly family. Wait till you see that. We're going to be talking about the ocean tops, and those are things that you'll know about. We're going to talk about the sun when it's straight up and what is the letter at noon time. And I think when you see how we put this together, you'll realize that this is a great way for our youth to learn the Arabic language, for new Muslims who would like to know more about their religion, for those who are intimidated a bit by the Arabic and never tried it, for those who would just like to know Arabic in general, to know what people are talking about, and as they say, see what they're saying. So we're going to try, inshallah, to cover all of those things in this program. But let's get started right now. I want to show you how easy it really is to have fun with the Arabic language. The first letter we're going to talk about is the letter called alif. Alif is a pretty simple letter because all it is a straight stick. Just make a big straight stick like that and say alif. Like alif, alif, alif. And it has the sound of it has the sound of and it has the sound of u, and sometimes it doesn't have any sound at all. We're going to be talking about that later. But for right now, that's your first letter, and that wasn't too hard, a straight line. Alif. Don't you feel educated now? The next letter we want to talk about is a little bit different. In fact, it comes in a series of letters, and so what we're going to do is draw the tops of the waves of the ocean on here. Watch this. You see that? All right. That looks kind of like an ocean. You see that? Now, this is not the traditional way they teach you the Arabic language, but it's a lot of fun. Now watch what's going to happen. I want to ask you a question. When you see the sun at this time of the day, straight up over your head, it must be noontime, isn't that right? So if it's noontime, then that means it's straight up over one of the points over here. So when you see the points here of the ocean, and you see a dot over it like that, that's noon. Now when the letter's by itself, it looks like this, noon. But when it's in a line, it'll be right underneath one of the points like that. Can you say noon? Noon. It makes the sound of na. All right. Now, the next one is kind of fun too. We're going to put a dot below the ocean, right underneath one of the points, one under the wave right here. And whenever it's right underneath the wave like that, it's below. So say ba, below, ba, below, ba. So make the sound of B right there, ba. And then we're going to make the sound of na, right here. That's noon and ba. Get it? Was that easy? You already know two letters. Two letters. As a matter of fact, talking about two, I'm going to put two dots right there over the top of this point. You see that point right there? That's another one. All right, now I put two dots. Now you'll never guess what the sound this is going to make. Ta. Say two. Ta. Well, this is ta. So make the sound of ta right there. Ta. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more there and make it na and ba and ta. Isn't that fun? Watch this. While we're on a roll, I'm going to put three dots right over this one right here. Look at that. Three. Say three. Now say th. Th. That's right, because guess what? That is the name of that letter right there. That is called th. Th. Say th. All right, now we've got a ba, we've got a ta, we got a na, we got a tha. Ta, ba, na, tha. Tabanatha. I don't know what's tabanatha, but we got it right there. Look at that. Now, ordinarily, they will tell you in the Arabic language you have to learn that the letters are like this. And when it has this below it, it's a B. A ba, actually. And then when you have two dots above it, it's a ta. And then when you have three dots above it, that's going to be a tha. And if you have only one dot, then that's going to be na. But, you know, that's not a whole lot of fun to do it that way. That's why we devised this little thing with the ocean. The other thing they'll talk to you about is whenever a letter starts a word, or is in the middle of the word, or ends a word. Now, what happens when there's a word, for instance, like this. Now, you say, well, that's not a word. Well, wait till you find out what we're going to do next. There's one more letter I want to show you so we can make a word. And I'm going to put two dots right below the line. Well, it's not a ba because we already have that. And it's not a ta because we've already got that. This is a special one. It's the only one where you're going to have to use your brain a little bit. Just remember, ya. Now, if two of your things fell overboard and went in the water and you went, ya, well, that's ya. Ya, right there. Ya. Ya? Ya, ya, ya. Okay, so that's it. Now you got all the dot family here. These are the dots that go over the waves or under the waves. Under and over the waves go the dots. Get that? This is ya. Now let's make a word out of this. What I'd like to do is change that a little bit. I'm going to put a ba right there. Ba. Ya. Ta. Ba. Ya, ta. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about those lines later, but for right now, this spells a word. Do you know what that word is? This is house. You say, wait a minute, how does bayata, that doesn't spell house. It does in Arabic, because the word in Arabic for house is bait. Bait. Because the ya sound in Arabic is just like the y sound in English. Watch this. I'm going to show you something. If I put a B, and then I put a A, and then I put a Y, and then I put a T, what do I have? Is that bait? And that's what it says in Arabic. This says ba, and that means be quiet. Like this silent Y is right here in English. This means be quiet. And this is ta. Beta. Bait. So that's how you say house in Arabic. Now this was just a little introduction to show you how much fun we're going to have with the Arabic language. It's something to enjoy, it's something to learn, and it's something to share with others. I hope that you'll take advantage of this and move now to the next section. We're going to take a break and be right back with the next part, Arabic in English. All right, we're ready to get started again. We've been talking about the ocean, and we talked about the waves, and we were talking about the way that when you have the little peaks, and then you could put a dot below, a dot above, 2 dots, 3 dots, 2 dots below. Just want to remind us a little bit before we move to the next part of what we're doing with the Arabic and English, is that when you see a dot by itself below the line, you can assume that's going to be the sound of ba below. If you see a single dot above the line and it's a stick, only a stick under it, then you can say na, noon. If there are 2 dots, you can say ta. And if you see a set of 3 dots and there's just a single stick, then you can say tha for 3. And that's the as in with. It's real light. 3. With. It's a very light TH sound. Then 2 dots below the line, and we said ya. Let's move now to the next series of the letters. And this is kind of fun because we're going to use some of the things we already know and come up with these sounds. The first one, this is a series that I heard somebody call the pot-belly family because of the way that their stomachs look. Watch this. Look at that. Boy, I'll tell you now, there's a stomach for you, isn't it? And this one is the letter ha. And the letter ha has a special kind of a sound with it that you don't notice right away, but whenever you're wearing glasses and you need to clean them, you get that sound when you go ha, ha. That is the sound of this pot-bellied fella right here. That's ha. Don't confuse that because there's a similar letter to it going to be coming up in a few minutes. So this is the ha, like when you blow on a glass or your glasses or clean a mirror or something like that. So this is ha. He has a cousin that looks just like him, only there's his belly button right there. His name is Jim. So whenever you see ha, but he's got this, that's Jim. And so this is the sound of an H. This is the sound of a J. Ja. Now watch this one. Again, another one of their relatives. But instead of having his belly button out there, you see a little dot right above there like that. Kind of like an eye. Like he's looking at you. And that's ha. Ha. This is the sound you're pronouncing by making a little sound in the back of your throat. Ha. Ha. You practice on that one a little bit. We'll go over it again here. That is ha, ja, and cha. And it's usually represented in English with K and H. Like that. Now, there's another cousin, distant cousin to these guys. And he looks like this. Kind of similar, but you notice it's different. Instead of going this way, it comes back this way and then down. And this guy's name is Ein. In Ein, you kind of squeeze the back of your throat when you pronounce this one. And I was told that they don't have this in English. And I said, well, wait a minute. Ein, Ein. I believe we do have that in English, especially down in Texas where I'm from, because we say it all the time. I ain't gonna do it. So that's Ein. And usually it's pronounced like, or spelled like this. A-I-N like this, okay, Ein. But often they'll put an apostrophe right there, and that indicates that little pinching you do in the back of your throat, Ein. There's a similar one, just the same way, only it'll have a dot over it, and that's Rein. Now the way I usually tell people to remember these is if you were down south in the southern part of the United States and your mother told you to do something and you said, I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. And she said, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. So that's Ein and Rein. And that maybe will help us remember it. There's some more that have this big sort of a stomach look, but it's a little bit different. We're going to put those right down here. Now watch this. Watch close. Looks like a W. But now we're going to drop down like this. That's seen. Have you ever seen anything that looked like this? See how that is? Seen. Now there's a relative to this one. They got a lot of relatives in the Arabic, don't they? And we're going to put 3 dots above that one. It's pretty easy to tell this one. You have seen. You have those 3 right there in a group. No dots. And then sheen. Like this. Now here you've got 3 dots. And you've got the 3 stems coming up. Now this one is seen. Sa. Like a regular S. And this one is sheen. There you are. Now keep in mind all the time that when we're working with this, you want to use what you already know. Don't try to make it difficult, and don't try to learn more than what we're presenting at each stage, because we will go into the different levels, God willing, inshallah, and be able to bring all of the letters out and how to put them together. But for right now, let's just focus on what we've got in front of us here. And then the next letter I want to go to is going to surprise you, because you're going to think, well, wait a minute, we already did that. This is a saw lettering. Saw. This is seen, and this is sawed. Sawed. Now, you might say, well, why do they sound alike? Well, I'll tell you what. They don't really sound alike, especially when you use them in a word. The difference between sa and saw. Saw. Sa. This one right here, you smile when you say it. Seen. But this one, sawed. And you see it says S-A-D, sad. A little bit sad. When you say it, say sad. I'm sad. I've seen someone who was sad. Seen, sad. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute, is there going to be another one here? And guess what? There sure is. And he doesn't get 3 dots, he gets only 1 dot. But his name's not Shad. There's no Shad in Arabic. But this guy has something so unique, and it's so distinguished about him, that they nicknamed the Arabic alphabet, or the Arabic language, after him. And this is called Bod. Bod. Why? Because there's no other language on earth that has this letter, Bod. And this one, I want you to go to someone who is an Arab that speaks the native Arabic language and watch them pronounce it. Because I can explain it and talk to you, and you can think about it all you want and practice, but without somebody showing you and you doing it, you're never going to get it perfect. But it's Bod. 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 You're doing some stuff in the back of your throat, moving your mouth a funny way, but most people that don't know Arabic, when they pronounce it, they just pronounce another D. But it's not. It's actually Bod. And this is Sawd and Bod. Got it? Now, this is a good place for us to kind of recap what we've got here and put it all together. Now, I've already told you about the stem letters here. This is the stem letters. Okay? This is the potbelly family. Okay? And then we got our special letters down over here, but kind of related to the potbelly family. And when we put these together, you're going to start seeing some amazing things. One of the things you're probably curious about is, well, if I've got these stems coming up like this, but I've got these other stems like that, how will I know what is what? How will I know? Well, whenever you see a group of three together like this, and there's nothing else there, then it's seen. The three together like that. Have you ever seen anything like that? However, if you see a group come together like this, then with three dots, that's going to be sheen. Now, what if we have one below? What was that? Ba. Remember? And at noontime, noon. Okay. What if we had two? What would that have been? Ta. Now, I'm going to continue out over this way. Now, watch this. I'm writing backwards in Arabic. But suppose I had two dots underneath that. What would it have been? Wouldn't that have been ya? Like that? Okay, and then what if I would have had this like that with three over it? And wouldn't that have been what? Sa. Now remember, that's a with sound. Light three with. So I want to put over here one dot again and say ba, tha, yas, ta, na, ba, sha. And that doesn't spell anything in the world, so don't worry about it. But it gives you a chance to see how the stem letters work in conjunction now with this one and this one. Now you said, well, wait a minute. What happened to his tail? Ah, now we're going to another level. We're learning that whenever we write the letters in a sentence or in a word, then those tails that drop down are going to disappear. And that's going to be the case of all of those. So watch out now, because you might see something that looks like this. And if you said, okay, that's a ba, you'd be right. That's a ba. And then you saw one here and you said, that's a na, that's a noon. Okay. I see another one here, that's another ba. No, wait a minute. No, it's not. You see this right here? Well, guess what? That's this letter right here, the ha. Can you imagine what he would look like if he had that tail on there? Well, there he is, because whenever you put him in a word, his tail just connects right up here and keeps going. So you got to keep your eyes open for what's up here. It's only the straight up stems. You got to watch for that. Now, we're going to put two over here. We got two down here. Now, wait a minute. What's this? Aha. Well, we're finding out now that ya, I'm showing you this one up here, ya, looks like this with the stem only when it's in a word like this. Okay? Because this is na, that's ya, and this is ta, and this is what it looks like when it's at the end of the word by itself. It's called ya. See it? And it has two dots. See it? So whenever you see this, it looks kind of like an S. That's actually a ya in the Arabic. At the end of a word. Ya. And I'm going to write a simple little word for you right here. Watch this now. That is the letter A. That was, had it right up here. That is ein. Ah. But again, he lost his tail, because they don't get to keep that little tail when they're connected to another letter. So watch out. Now when you see this, that's ein. So you say ah, and this is another letter which we didn't show you yet, but I'll be telling you about it. It's not the aleph, it's an L, la, and this is ya. So that's ali, ali, or it could be ala. And we'll talk more about that later. But this shows you how the letters, when they lose their tail, whenever they're connected to other letters. But at the end of the word, you will see their tail sticking out. So that's how many of them are going to be. And watch, that's all of these that I just showed you here. The ha, he's one of those who will lose his tail if he's connected. The jim, he will lose his tail. The cha will lose his tail. The ain will lose his tail. And the ghain will lose his tail. All of them will. And so will the sin and the sheen and the sad and the wad. I'm real proud of me for getting that wad sound. You know, I'm working on that. So when it happens that they lose that tail, then they can just connect up to the next letters like this. Okay? But you've got to keep your eyes open, because if you'll see this right here, you'll realize that there's another place in the Arabic where we have 3 dots. But it'll be only over one stem. So when there's only one stem and you have 3 dots, okay, that is th. But when you got 3 stems and 3 dots, that'll be sha. Now I know right now you're thinking, whoa, wait a minute, this is starting to get complicated. But I gave you the hardest part. You've now done the very hardest part. The rest of it starts getting easier because you already know something now. You're going to use what you already have to move forward. Now, having said that, I'm going to let you take time to write down what you've seen here. Obviously, you know by now you should have had paper and pen ready. You can always back this program up to each one at the beginning of the segments and then go through and review and write these things down. I'm going to give you time to do that right now, and when you get done, come on back and go to the next segment. We'll be right here. Kha, Ain, Ghain. The sin, which was down here, sheen, connected down here, sod, vod, and then we did some connections of some of the letters here and talked about what happens when they get cut off. We're going to come in a little bit closer on this part right in here and let you have a chance to look at this up close. Well, let's go to the next step now. And that is a few more letters. We've been talking about the letters and the connection of the letters. So let's introduce some more of the letters. I want to go to the forest now and talk about the trees in the forest. We've been out to the beach. We've talked about the pot-bellied family, and now we want to go to the forest and look at some trees and some of the things that we find out there. Well, that's a tree, or that's a stem, or that's something really big. It's not a little short thing, it's a big one, and that's called a leaf. Now, I know that a leaf looks kind of like that, but this is a leaf, and it doesn't have any leaves on it. Maybe just a little small one off to the side. So we're going to give it a little small leaf off to the side like that. There's its little leaf right there. A leaf. See it? The little leaf. So this is where we get the A sound, but we can get a oo sound from it. We can get an E sound from it. We're going to go on now, and I'm going to give you a couple more of these trees out in the forest. This one right here, look at what it's got down the bottom of the tree. You see that? Now, how do you like that? It's kind of a tall tree. Let's say that. Say, tall. Not ta. We already had ta. You remember ta had 2 dots. This is tall. 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 Not tall. Don't say the L on it, but say tall. Let me hear you say it. You didn't say it very loud. I said it louder than you did. Let's say tall. There you go. All right. That's tall. Now we're going to, you know what we did a while ago? We had some that were similar to the others, right? When we did the potbelly family, we're going to do it again. We're going to come up with that again. Look at there. Only we're going to put a dot right there. That was and that's ta. And what is that going to be? That's the. Now this th is a real heavy TH sound. The other one we had was 3 dots. You remember the 3 dots? That was th. lightweight, like with and three. But this one is like this, that, these, and those. This is that, and that is this. So give it a heavy TH sound right there, and a nice DA sound over here, and a ah sound over here. This is ah. Could be ooh, and it could be E, and it could be silent. We're going to come into that a little later. But right now that's Alif, Ba, and Va. I don't want to put a dot here, confuse you. Ba and Va. Let me hear that. Heavy duty. Huh? That's pretty good. All right. Now let's get another one going here. Now there's another big one out here, and just go like this. Now he doesn't have the little circle over to the side. He's got just that one hook over here. See that? That, it looks a lot like what? If we did it this way, what would it be in English? That'd be an L, wouldn't it? Well, guess what? In Arabic, that's a lam. The sound of L in Arabic comes from this letter, which is the exact opposite of the English letter L, and this is called lam. Lam. We mentioned it a little while ago in another segment when we made the connection between the Ain, the Lam, and the Fat Ya. We found out that the Ya actually came in two families. He was in the stem family, you know, on the stems or the waves coming out of the ocean. But now we found out he's also a pot-bellied guy, and this was La, Ya. La, Ya. And I'm going to tell you about these things a little bit later on too. But that was just to show you what happens when these letters, which used to have the big pot bellies, what happens whenever they're going to be in like this. Now this will be A-le-hi. For instance, Alehi. We're going to talk about it later. Don't worry about it. I'm just showing you what happens when they're in a word and they connect to each other. So now we got A, Ta, Tha, and Lam. Guess what? We got another one. And it's not exactly like this one. This is a rounded hook coming down. This is more squared off at the bottom, and it gets something like this. Gets a little like that, like Superman. You put a little S in there. And guess what it is? This is a K sound, like the letter K in English. Say K. Now say calf. Let me hear you. Calf. Calf. Not like the calf of your leg. This is just K-A-F. Calf. Calf. Got it? All right. So write these down. Take a minute or two. Then we'll give you some time at the end of this segment. You can go back over all of this. And while you're doing that, I'm going to put some more up here and talk about the next series. Next one I want to show you is what happens when we have some circles. I'm going to have some circles now. This is what's coming now. You remember I showed you the stems on the ocean. We had those little waves that looked like this. We talked about the trees. Now we want to go to the circles. Now what is the circles? What am I talking about there? Well, we're going to do them individually before we put them all together and let you see it. The first one is an amazing letter. It's so amazing, it's called wow. That's wow. And of course it represents the W in the English language. We usually represent it with English letters W-A-W. Wow. Wow. Okay, let's do the next one. And by the way, this guy right here is really stubborn. He's amazing, and I'm going to tell you what happens. In other letters, as I told you, they'll lose their tail, or they'll lose that continuation to the curl when you connect them. But this guy is so amazing that he does not lose it. Therefore, if you had a word that came like, for instance, like this, two dots below, like that, yeah, wow, And then look at this. Now, what happens here, he didn't connect, but this is still one word. And what's the word? Well, you won't know till I show you the next letter. The next letter is going to be this, with a dot over it. Now the wow hangs down like this, but this one kind of comes around a little bit more like a circle and has a dot over it. That's called fa. Fa. Do, re, mi, fa. So there you have it. Fa. There's what he looks like in Arabic. And so that's fa. Now fa is not an amazing letter, so he will connect to other letters that come up. There's no problem with him. But this guy won't do that. And he has a sound sometimes like ooh, ooh. He has a U sound sometimes. Wow. It's an amazing letter. I told you that. He can sound like a U sometimes. Sometimes he sounds like a W. Wah, wah, wah. But sometimes he sounds like ooh, ooh, ooh. And now watch what's going to happen. This is ya. Remember that because we had two dots below. You remember that's ya. Okay? And this is now ooh. So it's pronounced you, you. And then sa, there's the three dots, the three stems that are up here like this, without dots, actually. So that's sa, pronounced like a S. And this is fa. This comes up to be Yusuf. Yusuf. And that's my name. That's how you write Yusuf in Arabic. Ya, wow, sin, and fa. Ya, wow, sin, fa. Yusuf. Pretty cool, huh? There's some more of those that are in the circle family, and I want to show those to you. So I'm going to erase this here, okay? And then I'm going to put those other circles up. But before I do, I'm going to put the fa back over here for you so you won't lose that. We don't want to forget about our, got our amazing wow, and now we've got our fa. Now watch this next letter. Similar to the fa, only it's got two dots. This is called what? I want to put the fa back here so you won't forget. What is this? This is qa, qa, qa. And you catch in the back of your throat with this one. Qa. Can you make a click in the back of your throat like that with your tongue? Move your tongue and go. Because that's it. Qaf, qaf. So we use a Q in English, an A and then an F, and that's the name of this letter. Qaf, 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 qaf. Okay, so this is qaf. Don't confuse it with calf. This is regular calf. This is a K. This is a qaf, like that. Okay? So we got that one right there. Now what's the next one that's round like this? We have another one. And it's a little bit amazing, but not as amazing as the wow. It's got, there we go. Kind of looks like hair sticking out on either side, doesn't it? This is a meme. Ma. Kind of reminds you when you see hair sticking out, like you might think of your mom, you know, with her long hair or something. So that's ma, ma. And in English we say mama. And in Arabic it's So we are using the sound for our moms, aren't we? Mama, ummi, mommy. Okay, that's ummi and mommy. It means the same thing. My mother and mama. Okay, so this is one way. But I said it's a little bit amazing because it can look like that. And it can look like this too. Because that's when it comes at the end of a word. It has a nice little, some long hair coming down like that. It's pretty, isn't it? Now, this gives us the circles or the loops that we were showing a while ago. The wow, the amazing guy over here that doesn't want to He doesn't actually want to shake hands with anybody on his left side, I guess. But anyway, he doesn't connect, so he always keeps that down. This one, the fa, when he is connected, he'll keep on going. So let's write them so you can see what happens. That's what happens with a wow. Even if you connect it, the fa would continue, and so would this one, and so will this one. So that's wow, and this one is fa, and this is qa, and this is, you don't put any dots here, that's ma. Wow, fa, qa, and meme. There you go. That's what they look like. And if meme was connected to something else, for instance, let's connect it to a ta like this. There we are. And now I put two tas together. I want to show you something real quick before we forget about it. That's ta. Ta. Remember I told you smile when you say that. Where I come from, they say smile when you say that, neighbor. Ta. Okay, but this one is the one that's so tall. You remember? So this is tall. Tall. And this is ta. Ta. And tall. That's the difference between these two. So that's a little bit of review on that, a little bit of the connection, how you put it together, and then look back over the whole thing again one time, and we'll wrap up this segment by just mentioning to you that we went through the family in the forest, and we talked about them. Then we talked about the circles and how that works, and then we made some connections here, give you time to go over it, write it down, and then when you're ready, come on back, we'll be here. How you doing so far? We're having a little bit of fun with this, aren't we? I want to come back and finish up the rest of the letters and talk about some of the best that we saved for last. One of the things we talked about before was the amazing letter called wow. Let's pick up with that and go from there, okay? Wow. We're going to do wow again. One of the amazing things is that he makes the sound of a W, wah, 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 and also the sound of a U, you, like you. Okay, so that's one thing, but the other thing is, it's amazing about him, is when you hook him up to other letters, he'll hook from one side, but not from the other. So, for instance, if you have him like this by himself, okay, now if you have some other letters, let's put a ya and a ta. So there's a ta and a ya. The ta, remember, has two dots above, and the ya has two dots below. And that was how it would hook up, and that would be like ta, ya, woo. Or ta-yau, like that, okay? Ta, ya, and then the wow. But if he had some letters coming after him, he doesn't want to hook up with them. So you just have to continue on your own. So let's say that was a fa and a sin. So that would be like this, and this would be like this. So that would be ta, ya, wow, fa, sin. Or ta, yau, fa, sa. Ta, yau, fa, sa. And that's not a word in Arabic. I'm just playing with the letters. How about that? You get the idea about how amazing this guy is. Let's bring some of his relatives out and let you see them too. The first one that I want to show you is similar to him, except he doesn't have the head. He just has the body. There he is. That's old Ra. Ra. No head. Just sticks out like that, Ra. And the same thing, he likes to be connected from his right side, but never from his left. And that's Ra. R-A. Just say Ra. Has he got a relative? Yeah. A twin? Almost. He's got a brother. Look at this. He got a little dot over the top. That's za. Za. You say za? All right. Now, the next one we're going to come up with is similar, but a little bit shorter. Doesn't swing down as much like this. And as a matter of fact, if you put a straight line like that in English, that would be a D, wouldn't it? Well, we're going to say da, because this is doll. Doll. We got another one. He's got a relative too. Look at this guy. Just like him, only with a dot over the top. That's the. The. Now what you're going to discover right away is there are many ways in Arabic to make the TH sound. In English, when we do TH, that's it. When we want to say the word with, we use TH. When we want to say this, we use TH. We want to say those, we use TH. Three, we use TH. So always the TH in the English has some kind of a th sound, but it's different depending on the way the word is structured. But in Arabic, it provides you with exactly the way to say the kind of TH you want to say. So let's put the couple of them down for you to take a look at so that we get a better idea about fall. What is that? It's a real nice, it's almost like a Z. Some people pronounce it like Z. And this the sound is heavy. We've got another sound like this. Watch this one. He also is a the. You remember this one? This is the one that goes that. And he's like this, that, these, and those. And then we had, look at this one. Three, with. So all of these give this the sound. The and the and the. Almost like a Z, but not quite. So there you are, to give you a little taste of how to pronounce those. Now let's talk about the fact that none of these guys like to shake hands with anybody on their left side. They'll only hook up on the right side. So that's why whenever you write these letters, they can't connect to the next guy. But they can connect from before, and we'll do that again. We'll show you what happens when you connect a ba. So this ba, and this would be pronounced oo at that stage, so this would be boo. That would be boo. Now let's put another ba and put a ra. That's bar. Bar. Let's put another ba. This time we're going to put a za. That's baz. Let's put a da, but we'll bring a ba up to him too the same way. See, it can connect. That's bad. And now bad. Bud. It's because you got this up there. See? The dot. Bud. Bud and bud. So this is how you connect them, and they don't connect to anybody to their left side. If I stopped right there, I think this would be a great segment for you, but we got another letter. I love this guy because he is so versatile. I think maybe if anybody else was going to be called Wow, we should have called him Wow. Because this guy, by himself, he looks like this. Well, you say, now wait a minute, what's so wow about that? Why didn't you put him with the circle family that we had a while ago with the round circles? He would have fit right in. And by the way, his name is Ha. Ha. And you're going to say, whoa, wait a minute. We already did Ha. Remember this guy right here, this one? That was Ha. No, that was Ha. Remember, I told you it's like when you blow on your glasses. That's Ha. This guy is just like Ha. Like ha. This is Ha Ha. Okay? Ha. Right there. Now, the difference is in the way they look and the way they sound. Ha and Ha. That's why we put this like that. Ha and Ha. Now, you might say, well, okay, I agree with you, the sound is different, but why didn't you put him in there with circle guys? Well, guess what? This guy, he's a master of disguise. By himself, that's how he looks. But when he starts off the sentence, you remember what happens when, for instance, Ba starts out, he looks like that, doesn't he? And you remember what Ya, he looks like that, doesn't he? And then whenever we've got Noon, he looks like that, right? So how do you think this guy looks when he starts a sentence? Do you think he looks like this, which has like that? We've got the Qaf, which has like that. This guy will surprise you. What he's going to do is so amazing. I'm going to switch colors and show you how amazing he can be. he puts his hand up over his head like this, and it goes like that. Let me give you a demonstration of what that would be like. It's like if I go like this over my head. See how I'm doing that? Look how his hand is. Like he's got this over his head and reaching out like that. Look at that. This is how he is. There, you could almost like, there he is. See? That's how he starts a sentence out. But whenever he's in the middle of a sentence, he has two disguises. He can go like this. That's one way. Or he may like to just go like this. And that's another way. And then when he ends a sentence, he can go like that. All of these are the same guy in disguise. Beginning of the sentence, ha, and then in the middle, ha ha, and at the end, ha. That's the best name for this guy because he likes to have a lot of laughs. And in his disguises, he will surprise you. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. And we're going to take a break and let you wrap up with what we've been doing in these segments and put all the letters together. One final little character, he's not a letter, his name is Hamza. Hamza, and all he is a hiccup. He's a hiccup. Go like this. That's Hamza. And we're going to get into how Hamza works with the other letters when we come back after this. So we're going to take a little break, give you time to write some of this down, and we'll be back. Well, we're back, and we're in our second segment of Arabic and English. And that's a strange thing. We've been actually doing a lot of strange things here with our program. Our course has really been more on the upbeat side than it has been academic. We've tried to introduce the Arabic language in a way that everybody here could enjoy it, have fun with it, and comprehend it at the same time. Now, guess what? We're going to come together with the whole thing. We're going to put all the letters together and then learn how to pronounce them, how they work together to give sound to each other, and then we're going to start putting them together to make words. So let's enjoy this second segment coming up now by starting off where we left off before with the hiccup. We talked about the hiccup. If you remember, we said Hamza. Hamza was a hiccup. Here's Hamza. There he is. Of course, he's not really that big, but I put him up there pretty big right now for you so that you get kind of an idea what he is all about. Take a look at Hamza here. Okay, that's Hamza. Usually when you see him, he's so small you barely notice him, but whenever you see him, he makes the letter hiccup like that. So if you see him in association with another letter, then you have to go like that. So for instance, let's say we had the letter Ya. That would be two dots below a stem. Two dots like this below the stem is a Ya. Except when you've got this Hamza, then it would be Ya, Ya, Ya. Instead of Ya, Ya, like this. The same thing would be true if this were a Ta. Instead of Ta, you'd say Ta, 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 because of the Hamza. So the Hamza is like a hiccup. Hamza the hiccup. There he is. So whenever you see that, that's a hiccup. Also, there's another use for Hamza. Hamza has a couple of different jobs that he does. He's a little small guy, but he does some pretty good jobs. One of them is to help our friend Mr. Olive. Do you remember Olive? Olive, the standing stick. He has a little leaf on there, and then he comes down something like this. You remember Olive? That's Olive. And I told you that Olive could have the sound of ah, oo, e, or he could even have the sound of nothing. Well, the Hamza helps him out. Whenever Hamza's on the top of Olive, it's ah. But whenever Hamza is down below, underneath Olive, Let's put another Hamza down here now. See? You can't have two at once, so this one's going to have to leave. We're going to have to say goodbye to this Hamza. There he goes. Bye-bye. Now, this one down here gives him the sound of it. Before it was now it's it. Because when you get down here in the bottom, it's E. Below the line is E. Okay. Now, we said that there's a possibility of an oo sound, because sometimes when Hums is there, it'll have a little like this. And when you have that, that's a little wow is what it is. Remember the wow, the amazing guy? We're not through with wow, because we found out that wow does some other stuff too. Whenever wow becomes little small like this, like Hamza, he adds sounds. So this is oh, oh. That's ah. That's oh. And if it was down below, this would be it. So that gives you a little bit idea of some of the things that Hamza likes to get involved with. Now, while we're on the subject of about making these sounds, I want to show you something. Whenever you see a letter in the Arabic language, if you know the Arabic, you know by the association of other letters what kind of sound to make. But when you're like me, I'm from Texas, and I didn't study Arabic language, and so now I'm coming into the Arabic. What do? Well, they have something called tashkil, or helpers for you. The first one, we're going to put it right across the top. Whenever you see that, like that, a nice bar on an angle, like this, see that? That's called fatha. See it? And when you see that, you say ah. Ah. And you say ah because you're happy, because you've got some help. I needed help because I didn't know what to do, and now you gave me the help. Ah. Now, if you see this below the line like that, alrighty, that's not fatha. In fact, that's called kesra. And kesra is pronounced E. So that's ah and that's E. And you don't have them at the same time. So we're going to take Mr. Ah out of there. Goodbye. There he goes. And now we've got this kesra. So this is now E. That'd be the sound of E because we have the kesra underneath it. Let's use another letter out of the Arabic alphabet. What letter would you like me to use? A noon? Oh, okay. That sounds like a good idea. Let's put a noon right there. Now, we've got our stem letter here, and we need to put the noon, because that's where the sun is at noontime. And now, if I put the kesra down below it, then I'm going to have the sound of E. And if I put the fatha above it, I'm going to have what sound? The sound of A. Let's do the kesra first. Kesra. So this becomes ni, ni, na, E. This is the same in English as an N and an E. Ni, ni, na, E. If we had a fatha over the top, like this, then instead of the E, this would be na, na. Fatha makes the sound of A, and kesra makes the sound of E. Na. Okay. Now that was pretty easy. But let's don't forget about our amazing friend, the wow. Because if you put a wow, a small wow, over the top of a letter, then it gives you the sound of ooh. You remember we talked about that wow has an amazing thing that he does with sound. And this is one of them. He goes ooh, ooh. Sometimes he goes wah, and sometimes he goes woo. He's got three things that he does like that. Wah, and ooh, and woo. And in this case, when you put a Dhamma, he's called Dhamma when you do it like this, but you know and I know he's really Mr. Wow, but hey, don't worry about it. Dhamma above a noon becomes a nu, nu, N-U. In English, is how you would represent that, N-U, nu. Cool? Now let's try something else. What would happen if we changed this to a ba. And the way to do that is to remove the dot from there, put the dot down below. When we go below, what happens? It's a ba sound. But then, does that change anything? Only thing it does now, it does change the first letter. So this becomes boo. Don't get scared. Boo. And don't boo me off the stage either. So this is boo because it has the duma or the wow. You knew it was a wow, didn't you? But we call him duma. That's duma and that's boo. Gonna test you now. Get ready. Here comes the test. We got that. That's a ba. But I'm gonna make it a little tough for you. Watch this. I'm gonna remove that. And I'm going to put 2 round dots above a stem letter. I call it a stem letter, of course, because when it's inside of the word, then it comes up like a stem. When it's like this, you're seeing both ends of it come up. But this is a stem letter. What is that? It's got 2 dots on it. What is that? Do you remember what the sound of the stem letter with 2 dots? Not going to tell you. Let's put fatha over the top of it. How would you pronounce that letter? By the way, it's not a B, so I need to get that off of there, huh? What is that? How do you pronounce it? Do you remember? And then what if it has kasra below it? How would you pronounce that? Do you remember? Think about it. Okay, I'm going to give you the answer. The sound of 2 dots over a stem letter is a ta. And when it has the kesra, that's this one, it becomes a what? Do you remember? T. And if it has the fatha over it, it becomes a what? Ta. Pretty easy, huh? Guess what? One more. One more. What are we going to do next? You know? There's one more. We got kesra, that's on the bottom. Fatha, that goes on the top. There's one more, the amazing letter. Let's put the amazing right over there. We're going to call him Duma, though. We're not going to say his real name. And he makes the sound of wow. 2. All right, change that to 2. T-U. So whenever you got Duma, it's always on the top, by the way. Kesra is always on the bottom. Fatha is always on the top. When you have the Duma, it's 2. When you have the Kesra, it's T. When you have the Fatha, it's Ta. Now that helped us get a little bit of a start on the sounds and how we work with the vowel markers. I want now to make some connection with some letters and see if you can understand why they do what they do. Because this is going to be a ba, wow, ya, ta. B, because it's below on a stem letter. The wow, the amazing letter. The ya, there's ya, okay? The 2 dots below on a stem letter. 2 dots above on a stem letter is ta. How would you pronounce this? Now, remember the amazing letter will give the sound of a oo, so say boo, boo, and then this you, not you, this is ya or a, unless we put another wow here. So this is boo yat or boo yit. Depends on where we put the marker, the vowel marker. So I'm going to put it up there and then one down here. That would be boo yati, boo yati, boo yet, or boo yati. Now if I put it like this, now watch again. This is going to be boo. I could put the duma here for you, but the fact that you have the wow right there means that that's going to have that right there. See this? That's how you got that. Boo. Now watch this. Boo. What? Boo you. Boo you. Let's do that. Boo you T or boo you ta, or if you put a U after it like this, now you get the U sound here. Boo you too, because we followed it with the wow. Boo you too. Let's take a different course now and remove the Dhamma and put the Fatha. Bow. Because it has a wow, you have to say ba, wow. Bow, yow, tau. Bow, yow, tau. Because this wow is such an amazing letter, it's giving us that extra bit. Now, if we didn't have it, if we just had like this, and this would be so easy, you know. If we just said 1 here, 2 here, and then 2 here, that would just be ba, ya, ta, bayata. But by doing this, we get boo you too, because of the amazing letter wow. Now, let's take another step here and show you what happens with another amazing letter. This letter. We talked a lot about the ya right here. See it? The 2 dots. But this is what he really looks like when he's by himself. So he's kind of another amazing letter in that he likes to do different things. When he starts out a word like this, he's just two little dots underneath the stem. When he's inside the word, he has 2 little dots under the stem. But when he gets to the end of the word, he likes to show off, and look what he does. He curls up there like a wild snake. And sometimes we put the 2 dots under there, and sometimes we don't, because everybody knows that's a ya. That's ya, ya, ya. Ya, ya, ya. If you have the fatha over it like that, ya, ya, ya. But of course, if you have the kesra underneath it, it would be ye, ye, ye. Ye, ye, ye. But guess what? There's some more that goes along with the letter ya in Arabic. Watch this. I'm going to erase that and show you what happens when the letter ya wants to go to work and have some fun. We're going to start it again with the letter ba, boo, or b, or ba. Well, we found out if we did the circle like this and brought a tail down that it was a wow, and it said boo. But what would happen if instead we had a ya and it came down like that? Well, that's when we'd have a kesra, and it would be a b, pronounced b, b-e, b. What would happen if we put this ba and then put an aleph? You remember the aleph has that one little leaf all by itself up there? Just kidding. But look, that becomes ba, ba, because the aleph gives an a sound to the letter before it. And now we learned what happens when this doesn't make a sound, but he adds sound to the one before it. Remember, I told you that when Hamza was working with this guy, he can be an a or an it, or he can have a fatha and be a, or he can be an e, or he can be a u. There are many things that this aleph can do, but one of the things he does is add value to the letter before. So if I want to say ba real long, I can make this ba like this, an aleph, and another aleph, and say ba, ba. I guess you could keep making alephs like that and say ba. But this gives you an idea that the aleph can add value or length of time to the pronunciation of the letter before it. Now I want to share with you something else. Remember now, the ya can connect to anybody to his left. So he doesn't have that same thing that wow does. That's why you don't notice him. You see him turn into a stem like this. He blends right into the family and moves right on down the line with everybody else. So you don't notice him in here like that because he's part of the whole thing. Like in this word, bait. And by the way it works is every other letter gets a sound. Not always, but in this case, this one gets ba. This gets a sukoon. What's a sukoon? Sukoon means don't pronounce it, but give it some value anyway. This is bait. Bait, house. Bait, house. Now, so that you'll understand, what's happened here is the ya added something back to the ba. So the alif can add something, the ya can add something, and the wow can add something. This is ba, this is b, and this is boo. Ba, b, boo. And all we did was put another little wow up there and we called it dumma. This is the kesra because of the ya here. Whenever you have the ya, it's the E sound. Like in English, when you have a Y, a lot of times it equals E. I'll show you. The letter B in English, then the letter Y. And you pronounce it how? By. By. And the same thing that you would do it if you went like this in Arabic. By. Ba, ya. By. Make sense? I hope so. Now, next thing we're going to do is show you what happens when we work with some of the other family, such as the pot-bellied family. These guys are fun. Remember ha, this guy? Now ha is the one that has the heavy H sound that you make when you're blowing on something. Ha, ha. Okay? So we're going to use him and his brother, Jim, and his other brother, Kaf. Ha. Ha, Jim, Ha. But now we're going to connect them up with other letters, and let's watch what happens. We'll begin with Jim. And what's going to happen now is he's not going to have the tail because he's going to continue in the word. So he doesn't get to keep that tail because he connects with his partner, whoever's coming up. So it's still the letter Ja, but now let's put an Aleph. So that's Ja. Ja. Now if we have a Ja and we connect with a Wow, it would become what? Ju. Because of the oo sound coming out of the wow. Ju. Ja, Ju. And you notice I'm adding the tashkil or the helpers there to remind you that this is like Fatah, which by the way looks a lot like the Aleph, doesn't it? Only leaning over on his side. That's where it came from. And this Dhamma looks a lot like wow, and that's where it came from. And now watch this. One more. And which one is it? Do you remember? What is this? Is it E? Yes. So this is Ba, Ja, Ja, and then Ju, and then G. And when you put the Kesra under here. That's how you can do that. Now let's take another one. Ha. But we're coming straight back so we don't drop his tail down. We'll give him the Aleph, and he becomes Ha. Let's do another one. Only this time let's give him the Wow, and he becomes what? Who. And now let's give him the Ya, and he becomes what? He. It's not he, it's he. He. Let me hear you say it. He. One more time. He. That's it. ha, hu, he. Now, do you remember the other H that we have in Arabic? What was his name? Ha. And all he is a circle, remember? Ha. But when he starts out a sentence or he starts out a word, look what he does. He puts his hand over the top of his head. Remember how he does that? How he does that? Puts his arm up over like ha, ha, ha. And then in the middle, he can be like this. He can be like this. And at the end, he can be like that. So he's ha, 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 ha. Now, I think he should be called the funny letter because he goes ha, 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 ha. You can look how many times he said ha, 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 ha in the same sentence. Now, guess what, though? He can be funny another way, too. He can not just say ha, ha, ha. He can also say he. Because you can put kesra underneath it. That's not all. What else would happen? Well, if you put duma over the top, you'd have hu. Now, in this case, Mr. Funny here, the funny H, he winds up sounding like an owl. Hoo. It's a good chance for you to make some notes, too, by the way, that when you copy this down, you can back up the program and start again. When you copy this down, take your time and be sure you get it right. Here it is again. I'm going to put this up real big so you can see. There's the ha and the wow. Who. And then another one, followed by a ya, he. Another one, followed by what? An aleph. That's ha. So that's who, put a little duma up there. He, we're going to put the kesra right there. And this one with the aleph, that's a ha. Ha, he, who, or who, he, ha. Now let's put them out. Put them straight across in a word. Who. Now, if you put some sound with the wow, huwa, hua, it means he is. Hua, he is. Hua. At the end of a word, when you have him like this, that's ha, or it can be like this, who. It means that the word was talking about a male or man, and it's saying him, he. Or could be like this, he, and if you do he, that becomes what? He. That's hua and he. That means him and her in Arabic. Hua and he. Him and her. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Now, one more. We want to take from the stick family, from the forest, go out there and get some sticks, and let's take a look at what happens with the sticks. This is what letter? Do you remember? You forgot. That's paw, the tall letter. Paw. Paw. What would happen if we put a wow after the paw? Paw? This would become poo. The difference between this one, watch now, that's a ta, and that's a wow. What's the difference between this and this? In English, I would write them the same way. But in Arabic, it's two different letters, so it's two different things. It doesn't mean the same thing, and it doesn't sound the same way. Not really. This is poo, and this is tu, and poo. So there's a difference. If you don't hear a difference, it's okay. It'll take you a little time, but you get used to that. Two and two. There you are. Let's do another one. What is that? Do you remember what this is? T. T. It's not the same as T, like this one. That's T. This is T. 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 It has almost the extra sound in it. T. T and T. Now, another one is when you have like this and you go up. This is what? That's an aleph. This is ta. Ta. Whenever you add one of these helpers that gives the sound to it, what happens, not only does it give the definite sound, it extends it out by one extra count. So instead of ta, it becomes ta. Instead of ti, it becomes ti. Instead of T, it becomes T. Instead of T, T. Instead of T, T. I hope you could make the differential between the two kinds of ta and the different kinds of ha and ha. That's quite a bit that we've covered right here. Let's take a break, give you some time to go over what you've learned, and give you a chance to work through it, and give yourself a test or two and see if you can remember what these different sounds give to the letter before it. We'll take a break, give you time to work on that, and we'll be back.